everyone, welcome back to the concept, the metals and non-metals. And this is our final video on metals and non-metals chapter. And so far we have studied lots of concepts, isn't it? We started with physical properties of metals and non-metals. Then we went for chemical reactions of metals, chemical reactions of non-metals, and later how metal is combining with a non-metal. After that, formation of ionic compound. Okay, and then we studied about some aspects of metallurgy, ore, mineral, metallurgy, how we can extract different elements from their ores, isn't it? And after studying too much of the concept, and let us study something about corrosion. We all have already studied about corrosion in the first chapter, isn't it? So what was the corrosion? Corrosion is nothing but spoilage of metal when it gets exposed to air and moisture. Okay, so whenever a metal is exposed to air and moisture, its quality decreases. It will get spoiled. It will get destroyed. Such a process, chemically, we call it as corrosion. Instead of calling spoilage, we just call it with the term corrosion. Say for example, iron articles. Okay, the pure iron, when you get it from a market, imagine you kept it outside for so many days and it is getting exposed to the air, getting exposed to the moisture. What would happen after 10 days or after a month? What you will observe? A brown color powder appears on that iron article, and that brown color powder is what we call it as rust. Okay, so the moment you see that brown color powder appearing on iron, you keep saying that, hey, iron got spoiled. You can't use that iron for the domestic purposes. You can't use such an iron for the construction purposes or making utensils. Yes or no? The iron is spoiled. Why did it spoil? Because it has reacted with air or it has reacted with the moisture present in the air. Okay, so that kind of spoiling, not only with the iron, you can observe with respect to the silver, you can observe in copper, you can observe with many metals present in our nature. Okay, so such a spoilage of metal, when it is exposed to air and moisture, is called corrosion. Okay, and we are going to study some examples of corrosion, and also we will study how to prevent corrosion. Okay, what are the different ways of preventing corrosion? Clear? Fine. And coming to the first example for corrosion, it is rusting of iron. Okay, so our iron is reacting with oxygen and water vapor which is present in the atmosphere, and our iron is getting converted into Fe2O3.XH2O. X can be 1, X can be 2, X can be 3. It depends on how many water molecules has reacted with iron. Okay, so our iron has converted into Fe2O3 mainly. Then iron is, it is no more a pure iron. It has converted into something else. That something else is this Fe2O3. This is what that brown color powder, and chemically we call this as rust. Okay, and remember one thing, for rusting of iron, you require air as well as water. That means oxygen is also necessary, water is also necessary. Then only iron can undergo rusting. Okay, so iron do not rust only in presence of air or oxygen. Iron do not undergo rusting in presence of only water. Okay, for rusting of iron, you require both oxygen as well as water. Remember, only one guy is there, another guy is not there, then no rusting. You don't observe rusting actually. Okay, when both guys are there, both oxygen as well as water, when they are there with iron, then only you will observe that formation of brown color powder called rust. Clear? And Based on this, we have an experiment at what condition iron undergoes rusting and at what condition iron do not undergo rusting. Let us study that experiment with the visual. Okay. We have an experiment on rusting of iron. We have three different situations here. Look at here, test tube A, test tube B and test tube C. Test tube A, our iron nails got exposed to air as well as water. You can clearly observe. See, half a nail is exposed to air and half a nail is exposed to water. That means it is exposed to both the conditions, isn't it? And coming to the test tube B, the nail has been exposed to only water, not air. See, in the empty space, air would be there, but that will never pass into a water medium. Yes or no? Why? Because there is a layer of oil. Okay, so this layer of oil will not allow air to go into the water. And upon that, we have taken boiled water here. The intention of taking boiled water is to remove all the air content inside the water. Okay, so in this test tube, our iron nails got exposed to only water. And coming to the third test tube, the iron nails got exposed to only air but not water. Okay, and if any content of moisture is there, you know, that moisture can be absorbed by a chemical called calcium chloride. Okay, anhydrous calcium chloride is a drying agent. It will absorb all the water moisture that is present in air. Okay, so here both air and water is there, here only water is there, and here only air is there. So in which of the case you will observe rusting? Definitely in case 1. Yes or no? So I clearly told you, to observe rusting of iron, you require both air and water. Okay, rusting cannot be observed only if water is there. Rusting cannot be observed only if air is there. Both air and water is compulsorily required to observe rusting. So definitely in the situation 1, that is in the test tube A, our iron nails have become rusty. Yes or no? In test tube B there is no change. In test tube C also there is no change. The iron nails are there as it is. Okay, so this is the experiment to prove that rusting can take place only in presence of both air and water. Only if water is there, no rusting. Only if air is there, no rusting. Okay, so this is the experiment that can be proved for the rusting that can take place in presence of both air and water. Okay, so this is all about the rusting process. And we have a picture also, like we have a pure iron and a rusted iron. You can clearly see the picture there, right? And now the next example is silver becomes black. Usually silver articles also, whenever we buy a silver, it will be in a shiny, attractive way. But as the days goes on, the same silver articles will become black. You will see a black coating on silver articles. It is because silver is reacting, it is responding to the oxygen or water vapor that is present in the atmosphere. Okay, it may react with oxygen or sometimes it will react with sulfur also. Our atmosphere contains sulfur also. See, usually silver reacts with a sulfur to form silver sulfide. That silver sulfide itself is nothing but a black coating. Okay, and next you can observe a picture there how silver spoon is there, pure one, but as the days goes on, the same silver spoon is becoming black. So that black colored stuff that is there on silver article is nothing but silver sulfide coat. Okay, so how is that silver sulfide formed? When silver reacts with sulfur. Fine. And we all know copper articles also, slowly as the days goes on, they will become green in color. Yes or no? You will see a green coat on copper articles. That is also due to corrosion only. So actually our copper is reacting with carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. Okay, and it is getting converted into copper carbonate. That copper carbonate is what we call it as green coat. Okay, you can see there you have a copper rod where that has entirely become green in color after many days. Okay, when it got exposed to air, it's all because that copper must have reacted with carbon dioxide, so you have got that green coat on it. Okay, so these are the three examples for rusting that you have to remember, and try to remember their chemical reactions also. Okay, fine. And now we will see methods of preventing rusting or corrosion. Methods of preventing corrosion. Okay, so what are the ways we prevent corrosion? What are the different ways that we can use to prevent corrosion? The first one is oiling. It's all temporary. Okay, oiling or greasing. Okay, so applying oil or a grease is a temporary process. Permanently, you can't avoid the corrosion happening to different metals. Okay, it's only a temporary way of preventing. Second one is by painting. Okay, so all the iron rods which we use it for windows, they are all painted. We prefer painting the iron rods. Why do we paint the iron rods which are there for windows? It's because to prevent the rusting process. Okay, so one important method is painting. And the third one is galvanization. Okay, fourth one, anodizing. And the fifth one, alloy making. Okay, and now let us see the meanings of these three words. Galvanization, in the sense we will give a coating of zinc here. Okay, zinc is coated on iron. Coating of zinc is given. So on iron articles, we give a coating of zinc, so that zinc is actually more reactive than iron, no? So with oxygen and water vapor, our zinc starts reacting, protecting iron inside. On iron, a thick coating of zinc we will give, where zinc is more reactive than iron, isn't it? So our zinc is going to react with water vapor and oxygen, so inside iron is safe. Okay, so that is how we will call galvanization. You can see the visual how galvanization is done and how coating can be applied on iron articles. Okay. This is a method of galvanization. Okay, galvanization is one of the method which we use to prevent rusting of iron or to prevent corrosion. Okay. And galvanization involves giving a coating of zinc. Okay, imagine this is iron article. See how they are dipping it in a molten zinc. What do you mean by a molten zinc? Liquid zinc. Solid zinc, when you heat it, will become a liquid, isn't it? So iron articles, we are dipping it in a molten zinc so that a layer of zinc can cover around the iron articles. Okay, so this is how, see, iron or steel, whatever, and once you dip the article inside this molten zinc, no, a layer of zinc is formed. See, this is a zinc coating. Okay, and imagine when this is exposed to air or water. First, since zinc is more reactive than iron, zinc will start reacting with air or oxygen. Okay, and again upon zinc coating you will have a protective zinc oxide. Okay, so see this light blue color covering is there, no? This is a layer of zinc oxide that will be there above zinc. So this oxide is actually protecting zinc. Zinc is protecting our iron. Okay, so whenever this particular zinc coated iron articles gets exposed to air and water, first this oxide film will protect. If more reaction is happening there, first this oxide film will break down. Later inside again we have a zinc coating. On further reaction, zinc coating also will break down. After that our iron will get spoiled. Okay, otherwise you see this much thick coating will appear above iron articles.
Okay, so not only zinc, above zinc you actually have zinc oxide layer that will be protecting zinc, and zinc is there to protect iron. So our iron is very much safe deep inside. Okay, so this is what we call galvanization.
And same way, anodizing. Anodizing is normally done for aluminium articles. Okay, for aluminium articles, thick coating of Al2O3 is applied. Okay, Al2O3, this oxide coating is applied for aluminium articles, so that corrosion of aluminium can be prevented. So this will protect, this oxide film that is coated on aluminium will protect aluminium to undergo rusting. Okay, so aluminium does not undergo corrosion, it's all because of the coating of Al2O3. So such a coating, okay, applying a coat of Al2O3 for aluminium is called anodizing. And the last one, very important, alloy making. Okay, that means one metal, when you mix it with another metal or non-metal, then the properties of a metal will completely change. Okay, once the properties become completely changed, it will never undergo corrosion. So that is the logic here. So what do you mean by an alloy? Okay, alloy is nothing but homogeneous mixture. It is a homogeneous mixture that is made by mixing one metal with another metal or non-metal. Okay, you can mix with another metal or non-metal. Say iron is there. Okay, if I have to avoid the rusting of iron, I can mix iron with zinc, I can mix iron with chromium, I can mix iron with any other element. Then what happens? The properties of this iron will completely change. Okay, once its properties are changed after mixing with some other elements, it will not undergo corrosion. Okay, so usually many alloys we will use it in a market for the commercial purposes. Yes or no? In day-to-day life also, a steel vessels that we use it at home is nothing but alloy. Okay, so it is a stainless steel. We keep hearing a word called stainless steel. Okay, so what does a stainless steel contain? Stainless steel contain, some amount of carbon, some amount of iron, some amount of nickel in it. Yes or no? So in the same way, we have certain alloys like brass, bronze, solder alloy, stainless steel. So now I am showing you a list where we have different alloys and their composition. Okay.
There is a list of important alloy composition. We all have studied what do you mean by an alloy, isn't it? Alloy is nothing but a combination of metal with one more metal or a metal with a non-metal. Okay, so to improve the quality of a metal, we will combine the metal with some other metals or non-metals. So such a compound is called as alloy. So we have various kinds of alloys which we use it in a day-to-day life. The first and foremost, we have an alloy called brass. Brass is nothing but copper and zinc. It's a combination of copper and zinc. Okay, copper is about 60 to 80% and zinc is about 40 to 20%. So this combination we will call it as brass. So where do we use brass? Brass is used for making household utensils. So we must have heard brass vessels. Okay. Next alloy is bronze. Bronze is also a combination of copper with tin. Okay, you can find 75 to 90% of copper, 25 to 10% of tin. So where do we use bronze? Bronze is used for making coins, idols and utensils. Clear? You must have heard bronze medals, isn't it? So that is what we call an alloy which is nothing but bronze. Brass is important for you, bronze is important for you, and here we have a stainless steel. Okay, so composition of stainless steel is also important. Stainless steel is made up of iron, mainly it has iron. Iron has been combined with an element chromium as well as nickel. Okay, and this stainless steel is used for making cooking utensils, knives, etc. Whatever steel we see, it's all stainless steel. Stainless steel is a good variety of steel. Okay, fine, it will not undergo any kind of rusting. So this stainless steel is important. And one more, solder alloy. Solder alloy is a combination of tin and lead. Tin is about 50 to 75% and lead is about 50 to 25%. Okay, so where do we use solder alloy? For soldering the metals. Okay, and brass is important, bronze is important, stainless steel is important, solder alloy is important. Try to remember their uses as well as composition. So this is all about alloys.
So alloy is a very important aspect that you have to know. So what do you mean by an alloy? Homogeneous mixture that is made by mixing one metal with another metal or non-metal. Okay, when you mix 2 or 3 metals, you know, the strength of the alloy, the strength of the metal will increase. The properties of a metals also increases. Okay, so pure, it's very important question here we have is, you know, the alloy of iron is better than the pure iron for the domestic uses. Why? Give reason. Okay, so pure iron will get spoiled very easily. Yes or no? Pure iron is actually very soft. It's not a hard. You know, the alloy, when you mix iron with some other element, you know, the iron becomes hard so that you can mold however you want and use it for the domestic or commercial purposes. Okay, so this is a very important question. Alloy, the iron in the form of alloy is comfortably used compared to the pure iron. What is the reason? Because the properties of iron in the form of alloy is much better than the pure iron. Pure iron is a very soft iron. You know, you can't use it. But when you combine it with carbon or another element, you know, it becomes hard. You can use it for various things. Okay, so that is about alloy. And there is one more word called amalgam. Amalgam. What do you mean by amalgam? Amalgam is also alloy. Amalgam is also alloy where one of the element is mercury. One of the element is mercury. Okay, so in mercury, if you are mixing silver or sodium, whatever it is, then we call them as amalgams. Okay, silver amalgam. What do you mean by silver amalgam? Mercury plus silver. More amount of mercury will be there, small amount of silver will be there. Okay, so such a combination we will call it as silver amalgam. Okay, so amalgam is nothing but it's an alloy where one of the element is mercury. With mercury, some element, we may combine sodium, we may combine silver, we may combine any other element. Okay, say the best example is what we see whenever our tooth decays, you know, doctor will put a cement. We, in a normal language, we call it as a cement, isn't it? That is nothing but an amalgam. You can observe it in the picture also. Okay, the so-called cement that we call it for a teeth is called, it is a silver amalgam actually. They will mix a small amount of silver in large amount of mercury. It's a slight semi-solid in nature, and such a thing we will use it in the form of a cement for filling up our tooth. Okay, so that is about amalgam. So that's all of the chapter. So try to remember different examples for corrosion and later methods to prevent corrosion and all. So with this I complete a chapter, very important chapter. Try to revise each and every aspect of the chapter, and it's very important to read NCERT textbook line to line with all the activities present in a textbook. So thank you. If you like our video, please like it, share it, and subscribe our channel for more updates.